When your cat allows you to do something they would refuse from literally anyone else on the planet, most people assume it means the cat is just in a good mood. They're not. They're choosing you on a neurobiological level, and the difference between those two things is something most cat owners go their entire lives without understanding. What animal behaviorists have discovered over the last 2 decades is that cats don't grant access to specific behaviors randomly. There is a precise, measurable threshold of trust that has to be crossed. First one built through hundreds of small interactions over months or even years. And the behaviors that appear on the other side of that threshold are not personality quirks, they are deliberate signals. And most owners, even devoted ones, have been misreading them as coincidence for years. There's one signal in particular that we'll get to near the end of this video, and it's the one most owners completely overlook because it looks like nothing. It doesn't involve purring. It doesn't involve contact. But according to researchers who have spent years mapping feline social cognition, it may be the single clearest thing your cat will ever say to you. Stay with me for that, because it changes how you understand everything else on this list. Most people assume their cat's behavior is unpredictable. One day she's pressed against your leg. The next she won't come within a foot of you. And because cats don't broadcast affection the way dogs do, loudly, continuously, without a filter, most owners have quietly concluded that the closeness they feel with their cat is mostly one-sided, that the moments of real connection are accidental, that their cat tolerates them more than loves them. Here's what most people don't realize. That inconsistency isn't randomness. It's a trust architecture. Every time your cat chooses to stay in the room with you, every time she leans into your hand instead of pulling away, every time she crosses a physical or sensory threshold she wouldn't cross with anyone else, she is placing a deliberate stone in a structure she has been building with you specifically. The behaviors on this list aren't just cute moments worth a photograph. They are the visible surface of something much older and much more deliberate. And most owners have been missing the whole thing. 1. And here's where most people get this completely wrong following. Your cat follows you from room to room, waits outside the bathroom door, and sometimes seems to know exactly which direction you're heading before you've even stood up. Most owners smile at this and assume their cat is curious about the world, or anxious about being alone, or hoping you'll take a detour past the food bowl. And occasionally those things are true. But when the following is selective, when your cat trails you specifically and not other members of the household, something very different is happening beneath it. In the wild, cats do not follow. They are solitary ambush predators built for independent movement. Voluntary proximity to another creature represents a real biological cost. It reduces their ability to hunt. It increases their exposure to threat. It limits their escape options. The only time wildcats choose sustained closeness is within bonded social units, a mother and her offspring, or a small colony of related individuals who have built specific trust over time. So when your domestic cat follows you down the hallway and positions herself outside the bathroom door, she is not displaying idle curiosity. She is displaying something that, in her evolutionary language, is reserved exclusively for the members of her inner circle. A 2019 study published in Current Biology found that domestic cats form secure attachment bonds with their owners in a pattern nearly identical to the bond infants form with their primary caregivers. And one of the behavioral markers of that secure attachment is orientation. The bonded cat consistently orients their movement around the attachment figure. Not other people in the house, not friendly strangers who offer treats. You. The following is not random. It is directed. Your cat knows exactly whose footsteps they're tracking, and they've made a choice to track them. Here's what makes this even more fascinating. Some cats learn their owner's daily routine with enough precision that they arrive at the destination first. They're not following anymore, they're anticipating. To your cat, you are a pattern worth studying deeply. A pattern they find safe enough to build their entire waking world around. Most owners go years never understanding that the cat waiting by the bedroom door at 10 p.m. isn't just hoping for warmth. She's telling you something she has never told anyone else in that house. I know where you're going, and I want to be there when you arrive. In a moment, I'm going to show you a behavior that goes even further than following, one that requires your cat to physically override one of their deepest survival instincts. But first, There's a detail inside what I just described that most owners never catch, and it matters more than the following itself. 2. Your cat exposes their belly to you, not to your partner, not to the friend who visits on weekends and calls herself a cat person, to you. And most people see this and think it's an invitation. They reach in for a belly rub, they get a paw to the hand, and they walk away confused about why their cat is so unpredictable. Here's the thing, the belly exposure was never the invitation, it was the message. And they've been sending it for years while most owners reach past it looking for something else. The abdomen is the single most vulnerable part of a cat's body. It houses every vital organ with no skeletal protection whatsoever. In the wild, exposing the belly is not a relaxation display. It is a calculated risk that a cat only takes when they're absolutely certain that the environment around them is safe from threat. When your cat rolls onto their back in your presence, they are not just comfortable. They are communicating something that required an enormous amount of accumulated trust to arrive at. This place, with you in it, is the safest place I know. Think about that for a second. An animal whose entire evolutionary programming is built around protecting that part of their body, an animal that in the wild would rather flee than expose it, is choosing to leave it open in your direction while remaining completely still. Not because they've forgotten how to be a cat, because you have become the exception to a rule that was written into their biology thousands of years before you ever met. A 2016 study from the University of Lincoln found that cats reserve their highest tolerance physical interactions for individuals who have what researchers called attachment relevance, meaning the specific person the cat has identified as their primary bond. Belly access is almost exclusively an attachment-relevant behavior. It doesn't appear with people the cat merely tolerates. It appears with the person the cat has decided, through a long and careful process, belongs in their innermost circle. Most owners go their cat's entire life never realizing that the rolled over, soft belly up moment they smile at every morning without stopping is the clearest physical declaration of trust their cat knows how to make. 3. And here's where it starts to get personal, in a way that most owners find quietly overwhelming once they understand it. Your cat lets you near their face, specifically their nose. And even more specifically, they initiate the contact themselves. A cat's nose contains more than 200 million scent receptors, compared to a human's 5 million. It is one of the most neurologically dense and sensitive organs in their body, and it is almost permanently within 1 to 2 inches of every potential threat in their environment. Cats are extraordinarily protective of the space around it. When a cat you don't know leans away from your approaching hand near their face, that is not shyness. That is the operating system running exactly as it was designed to run. But when your cat leans forward, closes the distance themselves, and touches their nose to your finger or your face, they have made a choice that bypasses every instinct that would normally keep that space guarded. In feline social language, nose-to-nose touching is a greeting reserved for bonded companions. In feral colonies, cats who have formed genuine social relationships will approach nose first as a confirmation of that status. The nose touch says, in the clearest terms their language has, "You are in my group. You belong here. I have decided this." When your cat initiates that contact with you, they are not being cute for whoever is watching. They are extending a greeting that, in their language, carries the full social weight of belonging. And most owners receive it their cat's entire life without knowing what was just said. And hey, if this is starting to make you see your cat in a completely different way, hit subscribe. Every video on this channel is built around helping you understand what your cat has actually been trying to communicate. Because once you learn to see it, you realize the conversation has been happening the whole time. Here's where it gets really interesting. Because the behaviors we've talked about so far, following belly exposure, nose contact, all involve your cat crossing into your physical space. But some of the most significant things your cat reserves for you aren't about proximity at all. And that brings me to something I want to introduce here, because it becomes the heart of everything we're building toward. There was a woman, a cat rescue volunteer, who fostered a 4-year-old cat named Rue for almost 8 months. Rue had come from a hoarding situation, Nearly 30 cats in a small apartment, chronic stress, almost no positive human contact in her entire life. She didn't seek interaction. She didn't approach. She ate when no one was watching and spent most of her time pressed flat under the bed. The rescue coordinator told the volunteer plainly that Rue might never fully bond, that some cats from those environments simply cannot rebuild the architecture of trust that was never allowed to form. And for the first 3 months, that assessment seemed right, but the volunteer kept showing up. She'd sit on the floor near the bed, not reaching under, not coaxing with treats, not trying to manufacture a moment, just being there, in the same room, consistently. And she started noticing something. Every few weeks, Rue would be positioned an inch or two closer to the edge of the bed than before, not emerging, not making contact, just fractionally closer. And the volunteer kept asking herself, what is that? Is that something? Stay with me, because where Rue's story goes is something I think you'll recognize. 4. Your cat grooms you, or allows you to groom them. And the reason this matters goes so much further than most owners ever find out. Allo-grooming, the act of one cat grooming another, is one of the most socially significant behaviors in feline colony life. Research from the University of Southampton found that allo-grooming in cats is not random and not reciprocal by default. It is directional. Higher bonded pairs groom each other more frequently, and the initiation patterns follow the specific social relationship each pair has built. It is, in the clearest sense, a map of trust made visible through action. When your cat licks your hand, your arm, or your hair, they are not cleaning you out of instinct. They are placing you inside the social map they use to organize their entire world. In that moment, you are being categorized under a very specific label: bonded companion. This is what they do with the cats they have decided are safe. And the fact that they are extending that behavior to a different species entirely, an animal 3 to 4 times their size, does not diminish the signal. It amplifies it. Even more telling is what happens when you groom them. A cat who has not bonded with you will tolerate brushing for 30 seconds, maybe a minute, before they shift away or simply leave. But a cat who is imprinted on you will go still. They'll lower their head. They'll press into the brush rather than away from it. They may begin to purr, not the sharp, attention-seeking sound you hear when they want to be fed, but a slower, deeper vibration that researchers have identified as a bonding-related, self-soothing vocalization. Your cat is not simply enjoying a pleasant sensation. They are entering a state of physiological calm that they only access in the presence of someone they have decided completely to trust. To your cat, being groomed by you is not something they endure. It is something they seek. And most owners miss the distinction. They see their cat leaning into the brush and think, she likes how this feels. They don't see what it actually means. She likes who is holding it. Stay with me for the next one, because this is the one most owners say they wish they had understood from the very beginning. 5. And remember earlier, when I said there's one signal that most owners miss because it looks like nothing? This is it. Your cat finds you from across the room. Not because something moved, not because a sound caught their attention. They find you specifically, hold your gaze for a few quiet seconds, and then slowly, deliberately, let their eyes fall halfway closed. The slow blink. Most people have heard of it. Most people have no idea what is actually happening inside it. A 2020 study from the University of Exeter, the first peer-reviewed study to directly test the communicative function of the cat's slow blink, found that cats are significantly more likely to approach a human after that human has slow blinked at them than after a human has held a neutral expression. The slow blink is not incidental. It is not tiredness. It is not a coincidence of lighting or mood. It is a social signal, and critically, it moves in both directions. Cats don't only receive it, they send it deliberately to specific individuals. And if your cat has been sending it to you across the living room, from the end of the hallway, from the arm of the couch, they have been saying something specific every single time. Here is the part that most owners never find out. In cat social language, the slow blink requires something that almost nothing else does. It requires the cat to reduce their visual awareness while in proximity to another being. For an animal whose survival has depended for thousands of years on constant, precise monitoring of the visual environment, closing their eyes even halfway in the direction of another creature is not casual. It is not reflexive. It is a deliberate lowering of the guard. It is the feline equivalent of setting down the only weapon you have in the presence of someone you've decided will not use your vulnerability against you. Your cat looked at you across the room and made a calculation. And the result of that calculation, the result of everything you have built together, every patient moment, every quiet evening, every time you let them come to you instead of forcing the contact, was a slow, half-lidded blink, an eyes-closed moment of chosen defenselessness, directed at you. Think about how many times that has happened in your home. How many times your cat found you from across a room, held your gaze, and offered you that quiet blink, and you smiled at it because it looked sweet, without knowing what it cost them to give it. Most owners spend years on the receiving end of that signal, without ever recognizing that their cat was handing them something they hand almost no one. And the loss in that, the years of misunderstanding, the signal sent and never properly received, is something that's hard to sit with once you see it clearly. This is where Rue comes back. After 8 months, the volunteer was sitting on the floor one evening, not looking toward the bed, just reading with a lamp on. And when she glanced up, Rue was sitting in the open, 2 feet away. Not hiding, not frozen in the startled crouch she'd held for months, just sitting, present. And as the volunteer met her eyes, not reaching toward her, not speaking, just looking, Rue did it. One slow, deliberate blink, and then she looked away, as if it were the most ordinary thing in the world. The volunteer said she didn't move for a long time because she understood in that moment that Rue had spent 8 months placing stones in a structure that she had just quietly shown her. And it hadn't announced itself. It hadn't looked like a breakthrough. It had looked like a cat sitting in a lamplit room, blinking once. That's the thing about cats. The deepest thing they can offer you doesn't arrive with any ceremony. It arrives in a moment so small, you almost miss it. And missing it doesn't just mean missing acute interaction. It means missing the single clearest signal they know how to give. The one that says, I have measured this. I have weighed you against every instinct I carry. And I have decided that with you, I don't have to run. Your cat isn't withholding affection from you. They never were. They've been offering it in a language that most of the world doesn't know how to read. In the footsteps that follow yours, down every hallway, in the belly, turn upward in your presence, in the nose that finds your finger from 2 inches away, in the eyes that finds you from across the room and goes soft. Every single one of those moments is your cat saying the same thing, in 100 different dialects of the same ancient language. You are the one I chose. And in the world of cats, being chosen isn't a small thing. It is the whole thing. It is everything they have to give.